As a child, I spent the majority of my time at my grandparents' house. We would play with our cousins, run around outside, and my favorite part, go to McDonald's. Nearly every weekend was spent there, and I had some of the best memories at their house. Now that I am older, I look back on those times and remember when there were no worries in the entire world. When I was 13 years old, my grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, a disease that causes somebody to gradually lose their memory over time. At first, it was barely noticeable. He would just forget something here and there. But after a few years, the changes seemed very apparent. He would forget where he was frequently, waking up in the morning confused about what is going on. It eventually got to the point where he forgot all of our names and who we even were. I could see it in his eyes that he recognized us, but his brain lost all the memories that he was so desperately trying to find. Alzheimer's attacks the connections between neurons in the brain, causing memory loss. As you can see in this side-by-side, the bigger brain is a normal brain and the smaller brain is a brain with Alzheimer's. You can tell that there is a distinct size difference, and that is due to the neurons inside of the brain dying, which leads to the shrinkage. Today, I will talk to you about the causes of Alzheimer's disease, the effects this disease has on the victim as well as those around them, and how to slow down the memory loss. The dementia caused by Alzheimer's can impact anybody, and that is the scariest part about this disease. Alzheimer's attacks people on all different levels of health. My grandfather would run and do push-ups every day, yet he still had to suffer the pain of the disease. There is no one person that is immune to Alzheimer's. It has a chance to affect all of us. In an article written by a group of researchers covering Alzheimer's disease, it is described as a complex, progressive, and ultimately lethal neurological disorder whose current incidence, both domestically and globally, is reaching epidemic proportions. Although it is not a guarantee any one person will suffer from Alzheimer's, there are some habits and lifestyles that contribute to the chance of becoming a victim. Lifestyle, genetics, and the environment are the three big factors that most contribute to Alzheimer's disease. If a person has a bad habit and eats poorly or does drugs regularly, they have an increased chance of getting Alzheimer's. Since Alzheimer's is caused by the connections between the neurons in the brain ceasing to function, all drugs that affect brain function have serious implications when considering the risk of Alzheimer's. Another factor that contributes to the disease is genetics. It is seen, although it is not very common, that familial bloodlines could pass down the disease to descendants similar to the way Huntington's disease works. Coming from a family line that has a past suffering from Alzheimer's disease, I am even more worried that myself or my family are at risk for this disease. The final factor that contributes to an increased chance of developing Alzheimer's disease is the environment a person is in. If a person plays football for most of their life and sustains heavy hits to the head on a regular basis, it is more likely for that person to experience dementia in the form of Alzheimer's disease later in life. The sport of football is very risky when talking about the brain because there is also another lethal brain disease called CTE. Both CTE and Alzheimer's cause dementia and eventually lead to death. The world is an unforgiving place, and even if a person like my grandfather avoids all of these contributing factors, they could still end up drawing the short end of the stick. For healthy people like my grandfather, his mental health came down to luck, and he wasn't lucky enough. My grandfather's illness has impacted me more than I ever thought it would. Experiencing what he went through at such a young age, I was able to see firsthand what it was like to be trapped in your own body. This is what led me to go into the medical field. I want to help others that are faced with this illness before it is too late. I always told my parents I wanted to make a difference for somebody in the world, but I never knew exactly how. But once I saw how a mental illness affected my grandfather, I could tell that the best way I could help somebody is through the medical field. My grandfather's illness has not only affected me, however, it has brought my family closer together as well. Before his illness, my mom hardly ever spoke to her brothers, but when he was diagnosed, they knew that they had to overcome their differences to help their father. That is a great lesson to learn as a kid. I learned that a little argument should not cause a divide in the family because family is extremely important. My family did all they could to slow down my grandfather's memory loss, but in the end, he lost the fight. Unfortunately, far too many Alzheimer's patients lose the fight against the disease because there is no true way to avoid or slow down the disease. The best way to slow down the onset of the disease is to eat healthy and clean, exercise, and stay away from drugs. Since Alzheimer's is more common to occur in patients 65 and over, it is sometimes difficult for most people to maintain a healthy body, but it is a vital part of slowing down the onset of dementia. Aside from the self-care techniques to combat Alzheimer's, there are also multiple medications that treat dementia, such as memantine and rivastigmine. These medications help to enhance cognitive functions in the brain. Alzheimer's disease has a chance to affect anybody, and with there being very little medication to combat the onset of dementia, Alzheimer's disease is very deadly and causes many families to lose loved ones. Alzheimer's has no true cause, but bad appetite, genetics, and the environment a person is in increases the chances of developing the disease. Having there be no cure for Alzheimer's, it is vital to treat the body well as a young adult because controlling health only gets more difficult throughout the years. Although my grandfather's disease has been disastrous for the family, it has helped us come together, ignoring our differences to help somebody we all love. The world is a harsh and unforgiving place, and it is up to each and every person to decide how they are going to react to these obstacles. Am I worried about myself or a family member who will suffer from this disease when we are older? Absolutely. But I will not let that fear stop me from enjoying the world. Thank you.